They kept showing her face.
Yeah, bro.
Bro, they kept showing her face.
He said it was mush.
Yeah. Then in the courtroom, she was like, they kept hitting and hitting
And then she stopped.
and hitting. And then started again.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Cinecism. I'm Eric.
It's your boy Dante, man, and today we're going to be doing a review on the HBO miniseries, The Undoing.
Starring primarily Nicole Kidman and Hugh Grant, right?
Yep.
That kid from Honey Boy.
And then Donald Sutherland.
Oh, yeah, Donald. Yeah, I gotta forget Donald Sutherland. They're a well-to-do family. They're pretty well off, living in Manhattan. They're both doctors. Almost a picture-perfect family. But that quickly starts to unravel as Hugh Grant's character, his name is Jonathan in the show, he becomes the primary suspect in a murder case.
In the first episode, they introduced this character, Elena, and she's new to the school.
What a weirdo.
Yeah, she was a little peculiar. It's clear that she has some type of an interest in Nicole Kidman character. It seems like she has some type of a weird obsession, almost as if she knows her. This woman gets murdered, brutally murdered, I might add. Boy, oh boy, do they love to show it. I was like, damn, again? Again with this? She gets actually discovered by her son, who goes to the same school as Nicole Kidman's son. So it's all, their lives are, unbeknownst to her, really very much intertwined. When the murder happens, Hugh Grant is like, he done fled. Not only did they find some of his evidence that he was at the scene of the crime, but also the fact that he's missing in action.
Right, because that's the smartest thing.
This right, nigga was in the wind.
Primary suspect.
Right, right.
Just leave.
Like, come on, bro. Are you crazy?
Not in this age.
Right.
You want to start with her or him?
Actually, we should start with Jonathan.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a lot to this guy.
It's a lot. Actually, let's start with Grace.
Yeah.
I save him for last.
You gotta save him for last.
Yeah.
All right, Grace, Nicole Kidman's character, loving wife and mother, and most relatable, personable person within her social circle, and she was the most welcoming and inviting to Elena. A psychologist, she's very good at what she does. She deals primarily with married couples, almost, I think, exclusively. We get to see a little bit of that from her in the beginning, and before things start to unravel, and she becomes a little bit more bothered.
In her defense, it was a lot of things that started to unfold.
Yeah.
She was completely in the dark about so much. I felt so bad for her because she got blindsided on numerous occasions.
Mind you, they never appeared to have any kind of marital issues before all of this came to a head.
They seemed like they had a loving marriage. They were a loving family. They seemed very functional, and you didn't even detect the slightest bit of a problem. I mean, you kind of knew it was probably something up just because it's a TV show. But if I just saw this family on the street, I would assume that they had been fine. Since Jonathan is in the wind, she's the one that has to bear the brunt of a lot of the public scrutiny. Her and her son, all of this is kind of centered around his school. The mother that was murdered, she's a parent of the school. He goes to the school. It's just all very centralized. Small communities, especially in any society, really, they gonna talk and people get to speculating. It's just unfortunate for her.
There was a lot of seeming victim blaming going on with her.
A lot.
She literally had nothing to do with the accusations at all. She was as much as a victim as anybody else involved. They got Henry, who was the 12-year-old son of Jonathan and Grace. He's a typical privileged kid. This is not no disrespect to the actor. I love him. I think he's amazing. Yeah. But his character in this show really pissed me off.
He was very frustrated.
Because he was so goddamn whiny. I was like, man. Yeah. And I know kids don't understand the brunt that parents take on when it comes to infidelity and shit. So I don't expect him to know exactly what's going on, but the way he reacted to some of the events that unfolded just bothered me. And the way that he talked to his parents, goddamn.
That was the part that irritated me. I was like,
what I did? Who the fuck is
That's what I'm saying. You know what? I understood some of the stuff that he said to his dad. The things he was saying to his mom, like when he kind of just was like, yeah, what are you doing? What are you doing? Just like, all right, bro, like chill out. You see your mom in here going through a lot.
She was struggling.
Yeah. I didn't hate him as a character. He definitely had bratty moments. I kind of understood it fit his character because like you mentioned, he was a privileged kid.
Yeah.
And and I don't think he had really been through much before in his life, so you could kind of tell that this was the first time. And then in his defense, it was a lot to deal with.
It was a lot, and I get it. I just ain't want to hear that shit.
Me neither. I was surprised they weren't monitoring his interaction with keeping up with the case. It seemed like every time he was looking at it on his phone, like his mom, and then he would be at the kitchen table. He'd be looking at the trial, and
I want to hear this.
That's what I'm saying.
Trying to eat.
And then for him to see that as a kid, to me, is not healthy. I would have thought that his mom or his granddad would have took his phone or took his iPad, but they be sitting right in the room with him. Nobody ever said, "Hey, Henry, don't watch that," or if they did, it was very rarely. I'm like, man, you want your son consuming all of this? It just don't seem appropriate. It was clear that he worshipped his dad. Like he had a very close relationship with his father, and I think he was his hero. So to hear a lot of the things that he heard about his dad, I think was kind of like world shattering.
And then we have Franklin, played by is it Donald Sutherland? Mm-hmm. Donald Sutherland. He's a pretty stern, old school type dude. You can tell he loves his family. He's not really that expressive. He's kind of cold, but not to the point of being distant, if that makes sense. He's expressive when he feels he needs to be.
I agree. I think
that way.
He had a lot of very intimate moments with Grace, his daughter.
He did.
And I thought that he had revealed a lot, and he was very vulnerable with her. I didn't think that he showed that same vulnerability to Henry or really anybody else in the show, but whenever they interacted one-on-one.
She had a special place.
A
special place in this.
And he was like riding all out for them. He clearly does not like Jonathan, and apparently he didn't like him from the start.
And there was never a doubt in his mind that Jonathan he made that abundantly.
Yo, the thing that I liked about him, and it was so frustrating to watch, and I was thinking, like, what would I do in that position? Because he loves his daughter, but on the flip side, he does not like his son-in-law, and his son-in-law is accused of murder, but it's his daughter's husband and it's his grandson's father, so it's like he felt this obligation to still try to help him. Like, he helped get him a lawyer, and, it was just a whole bunch of shit that I was like, God damn it, would I have done that if that was my daughter? Because that's a lot to ask.
What made him so compelled to do it is the fact that Grace had never really asked him much, like, in her adult life. So it made it that much harder a decision for him to make. Man, Donald Sutherland just got this presence about him, man. It seems like he could be like a warm-hearted person, or he could be a cold, calculated piece of shit.
Right.
And I feel like he does a really good job. And when he met up with Jonathan at the prison.
In prison?
I believed every word.
Me too.
When he said he would kill.
Me too.
Elena, we only really got to see her most in the first episode, and of course in which she ended up dead in the episode. But from what we saw of her, what we learned of her, she's a young mother. She's married. She's married to this guy. They have a son together, but they also have a newborn baby together. So we thought. She seems to be somewhat estranged almost. She's like never at home. She's leaving her husband to care after the kids, like regularly, seemingly. And she just seems to be, I don't know, spaced out. Yeah. Every time we see her interact with Grace, she doesn't seem like she's all the way there. But shit, when we see her interact with anybody, honestly.
I would say that she interacted the most with Grace.
Yeah, she did.
But even that was kind of limited.
But the whole breastfeeding deal. When she first became a part of the committee.
That was crazy. It wasn't even the fact that she was, because women do that all the time, but it was her demeanor while doing it.
To be clear, it was not the fact that she was breastfeeding. Yeah. It was just how she whipped that bitch out.
Yeah. It was,
and it was by the eye contact she made while in the process. It was all.
It was very uncomfortable.
I never seen anybody breastfeed. Yeah. You know what, man? I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt too. I was like, nah, man, she won't do that weird. Maybe she just open.
Right. I thought maybe because she was foreign. I was like, no, they do that over there. Like they do that in Europe. Like I definitely tried to shrug it off, just like you did a few times. I was like, well, now it's getting a little consistent.
And she approached it in the back room, and I was like, well. Bro, imagine you sitting in there as a man, and another dude just walk up to you, jump out, and start conversing with you, just standing there with his shit out. And then I thought she was walking away, and then she came right up beside.
She was really trying to kick it in the nose.
I have to say that she deserved to get.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah. But, damn, no weirdo. You find out why she was behaving so peculiar as the show unfolds. I understood kind of what was going on now as this nigga ain't buying it. He like,
kudos to the actress actress because
she did a great job.
She was very unsettling and convincing in her role. All right, so Jonathan.
Let's get to this guy.
What a conniving.
First of all, this speaks extremely highly to Hugh Grant's acting ability, because Hugh Grant in most things that he's in is extremely likable, extremely charming in most things that he's in. He was here, but in the worst way. I never bought for a second that he was a good person. It's like everything he said to me seemed like
manipulative.
Completely.
God, he played like such a textbook sociopath.
Oh my God.
In the show. But because of the charm and charisma, it's like he always has you thinking like, maybe he didn't do this shit. Yep. You know what I mean?
Second guessing, and trying to catering to your basic human nature that you want to believe good in people.
Yeah.
You know, and he, like I said, he just knew the right things to say, but to me, it just never came across as right. It always seemed so calculated.
I thought he did a really good job of portraying that.
He did an excellent job.
Very convincing.
Yeah.
Up and right into the very end when you see exactly what happened. Spoiler alert. Ends up he actually did murder Elena. Surprise, surprise.
It's funny. I never did not for a second not suspect him, but I did think that
not suspect him either.
I did think that he was. I did think that he had an accomplice. I didn't think that he did it on his own. And that's what the show kind of kept in the back of my mind. I was like, all right, well, I feel like he definitely did it. I'm like, who did it with him, though? I don't think that he acted alone. It turns out he had quit his job. She didn't know. He had been out of a job for a while.
Yeah,
I know, right? He had borrowed like $400,000 from her father. That's another thing that kept me not ever really believing him. It's like every time you wanted to believe him, they threw on something new that showed you, nope, he's a piece of shit. Yeah. Then he turns out to be the father. He's fathered a child with Elena. He done had a whole baby with this woman.
Dude, the part when he tried to pin the blame on his son.
On Henry. That was it.
That was the lowest.
That was the nail in the coffin when I actually knew. I was like, okay, he definitely did this. Let me also say this about Jonathan. I think he might be the worst criminal on the face of the planet. That's another reason why I didn't think he did this. I was like, he wouldn't have. He had sex with her the night that he killed her. Unprotected sex, mind you. So his semen samples is in there. He left blood at the scene of the crime, bloody footprints, fingerprints,
shoe prints,
everything. Then he fled, which also looked incriminating. Then he had the hammer at his fucking beach house. It's like, nigga, you didn't throw that bitch in the ocean. You ain't never seen Goodfellas or nothing. I was like, there's no way he could have done this, because nobody would be stupid enough to leave that much evidence at the scene of a crime. Somebody might have planted this on the homie.
Arrogance, man.
That's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it boiled down to, privilege and arrogance.
I'm just thinking about all the scenes where he was like crying and shit, trying to appeal.
He's like, oh, I love that. I actually loved it. I was like, oh my God, this nigga on TV with them crocodile tears. If you don't get the fuck out of here. And then the fact that you find out at the end he did it and he legitimately accused his son.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like, bro, you was guilty the whole time.
Sociopathic behavior right there.
Crazy.
That's how low you would go?
Yeah. Crazy.
About nobody.
Yeah, not at all. So the great thing about this show, man, or any murder mystery, is a very well done one will keep you guessing. And I felt like this show did this time and time again. I'm not gonna lie, when the end of the show ended, I was kind of like, damn, that's it? Because I had some wild fucking theories, bro.
Me too.
I had some theories.
Tell me who you thought.
For
most of the show, tell me who you thought was your primary suspect.
I never wavered really on Jonathan. Yeah. But one of the wildest theories that I had was I thought that the homegirl was somehow involved.
Bro, dog, that's how I feel like the show make you.
Well, I was feeling crazy.
Me too. I was like, oh, that's crazy, because I had the same thought.
But you know what?
Name?
Yeah, Grace's friend, the blonde one.
I was like, at first I was like, well, you know what? They ain't been showing us.
It'd be that type of shit. Yeah, but you know, this show, the thing about these shows is that when they're done really well, they make you want to pay attention to every little thing that's said. Yeah. And they had mentioned earlier in the show, when he first had linked up with Haley, she asked him that it was another act of infidelity. And I was like, and then her and the friend and Hugh Grant's character exchanged a look in the courtroom. I was like, oh, she the other woman that's gonna be a whole entanglement situation. They really had my my head spinning. I'm thinking that like he left and then she came and murdered her or some shit.
I thought that too, and then I was like, you know what? She a lawyer though. She would never be this.
Yeah, this stupid. Yeah,
you know
this is crazy.
So I had to rule her out, and I was like, what the fuck with her motive? Nah, man, can't nobody front.
Right. That's kind of.
No way.
I was like, man, if she did do this, she's super foul because she was calling Grace like, hey, how are you? Is everything good?
Yeah. Dude, at one point I thought that Dad did it because I was like,
because he kept saying he was gonna kill everybody.
Like, I mean, he never liked Jonathan.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He might be trying to frame him with some
They had me suspecting him early on in the series. I was like, man.
Meaner, right?
Yeah. It just seemed like he knew more than he let on. And then he kept saying, like, you know, he knew that he did it. And I don't know, he just spoke with this certainty. I was like, how he know so much? And the biggest okie doke that they got me on was Grace. I did not never think that Grace killed her.
Yeah.
I did, however, think that their relationship was deeper than the show showed you. Yeah. I was like, see, it's some scenes they ain't show us. Like, it's some things they ain't telling us because she had that picture of Grace that she had painted. And then the police was like, that she had called her phone several times or something like that. I was like, see, she know her. She knew her before all of this. I really thought they had maybe a relationship. And then I thought almost that they might have been like in a romantically involved. Right. Because she had kissed her in the elevator. And I was like, nah, it's more going on here.
You know, at one point I even thought they were going to go like the cliche route and like maybe she blacked out or was drugged or something and she got into it with her and ended up killing her. And
that'd have been wild.
Of it.
That'd have been wild.
I didn't do that. But
right.
I thought it was a man, my mind was going
I went everywhere.
Then, you know, they tried to go the obvious route with the son.
Right. I never suspected him.
I didn't really think that, but I thought he might have had something to do with it. Then I was like, nah, that'd be too obvious.
Just for the way that she was killed, I was like, I don't think a kid would have the strength to do no shit like this.
His own.
Yeah.
I thought that he might have known more about it than what he was leading on. But
you know, the show tried to make you suspect that I never suspected. For some reason, I never suspected her husband did it. I felt like that was way too easy of a.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, and then just the way they kept trying to make it seem like he was this real angry guy. I was like, no, he pissed off. Right. His wife had an affair. She's dead. Yeah. He got a baby that ain't his. He got another son to raise. I'm like, the nigga is mad, like anybody would be.
Then I really knew he didn't do it when goddamn Jonathan.
Yeah, when he showed up at his house and he ain't do nothing. Yeah, I was like, nah, this dude ain't do this.
I really like the fact that they kept you guessing, man. Like you said, a good mystery thriller is really good at doing that, so you never know without any shadow of a doubt who the culprit is. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty effective how they went about that.
I agree. And a big part of that, and due to the acting was just so fucking stellar, bro. Everybody brought it. You just didn't know who the fuck was involved, honestly.
I'll tell you what, man. Nicole Kidman, man.
Listen, man.
The way that she acts with just like her facial expression is incredible. Yes. Like she has really perfected that craft. Yeah. Because she can say so much with like so little dialogue.
I agree.
I got two big takeaways. Okay. The first one, I've expressed this before in other reviews, how I feel about like the flashback method.
Oh yeah,
that's been
you're not a fan.
So commonly.
Yeah,
I feel like it was used very effectively in this because it wasn't overly done. We had little minor tidbits, but they weren't full on flashbacks that were like minutes long or half episode.
I agree.
Long. I really appreciated that about this show. This was a very fresh take on that method to me.
They kept giving you distorted imagery. It was almost like
you just enough.
Exactly.
They start piecing
correct.
Their own thoughts.
They gave you enough to speculate, but it wasn't. Like you said, it wasn't no full blown flashback until the end of the show. You didn't know exactly what happened until the final episode, and really the final moments of the final episode.
I feel like when people do that, it's cheap to me because it's like you can make anything happen after that. You know,
I think that's fair.
You know, when you do like flashbacks in that format, it can be used effectively and efficiently, but I feel like sometimes it's used overabundantly to like compensate for a lack of a good story.
I was just about to say that. I felt like the flashbacks in this actually were an intricate part of the story. It actually helps you as the viewer start to, because with a show like this, the goal for them is for you to start to speculate about who did it and things like that. And that's exactly what them flashbacks help do. So they added to that whole overall element. And yeah, I agree with you. I do think sometimes it's used for lack of a story and as almost as a crutch. You know, man, I was a little let down with the ending. I'm not gonna lie. For everything that I felt like they put me through mentally in terms of the gymnastics I was doing to try to figure out who did this shit, to figure out that it was him and just him, I was like, okay, I kind of rolled with that, and I was like, okay, that obviously made the most sense, and it's dope that they actually went with the option that went the most sense. Yeah. But the fake outs at the end, I just felt like the way that the show ended for the roller coaster it just was like, all right, because they had this scene where they're driving, he kidnapped, well, not kidnapped, but he has, all right, okay, all right, let's roll with that. He heading to this bridge, they make it seem like he about to get hit by a car. I was like, oh fuck, that's how this show gonna end. Like, you think it's gonna be this grand finale, and then nope, they missed the truck. I said, okay, that's cool, because I ain't really want Henry to die. Then they make it seem like he's gonna jump off this bridge. I was like, all right, that's actually a really great ending to the show, because he can't bear it no more than he get off. I was like, oh, okay, getting off the bridge. Like, what the fuck? I was like, oh, okay, and then it just ends with him walking away, and they get in the helicopter and leave.
You know how I interpreted that ending? For me, it was kind of subtle, but when he was standing on the bridge about to jump off, then he saw Grace running towards him.
Yeah.
That kind of appeased to like his narcissism, I feel.
That's actually a good point.
That's how I interpreted it.
That's a good point.
That's exactly what happened, but I feel like he was going to jump.
Right.
Then he saw her running, crying like she needed him.
That's the only thing that makes sense, because he clearly did not jump for Henry, because Henry was the fuck right there. He didn't care. Right, yeah. It looked like he was about to take Henry with him. Right. I was like, oh shit. So yeah, it wasn't that. I agree with you, because soon as she ran up, he got like this weird smile on his face. Yeah, I didn't love the ending, but it in no way negated from the fact that this is a phenomenal show. I was a little let down, but I still very much enjoyed the journey overall.
So my question to you is, and I put myself in Henry's shoes and tried to think to myself what I would do if my parents, or one of my parents, were in a situation like this. Would you feel compelled to like try to help them?
I don't know about a crime like this.
Yeah, circumstantial.
Yeah, it would really depend, because something like this is very brutal, and I would be very shocked to hear that somebody I knew did some shit like this. What you think, man?
Yeah,
circumstances probably depend.
Definitely would have to depend on the circumstances. I mean, if it was self-defense,
yeah,
I don't know how. I don't know if I could defend somebody who killed a family member that murdered somebody in cold blood. For like no reason.
Yeah.
That just makes me wonder what would stop them from doing it again.
Yeah.
If it was if they weren't defending themselves or like avenging somebody that was murdered or something, I don't know.
Yeah, if you love somebody deeply, you know, even knowing that they might have done a heinous crime, especially if it's somebody that you feel like you really know, and you know that that's not something that's common of their character, I definitely would probably try to protect them. To me, it's important to actually have a dialogue with them, and I think that would make a big difference. If you murder somebody in cold blood with just no remorse, nigga, I don't know. We might have to turn your ass in, bro. Like, dead ass. We might need to get you off the streets, because you a menace to society, nigga. Like, what the fuck? Like, you just out here killing people just because you felt like it. Like, oh, nah, I don't know about all that. You know,
you gotta consider you will potentially become an accomplice if that person is still apprehended,
or a potential victim out this bitch. I don't know how you feel. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Fuck around, murk me next. You know.
So overall, I thought The Undoing was a very well written, suspenseful thriller. Thought it was well acted. Like I mentioned before, they didn't rely too heavily on like a lot of the cliches of this genre. I'm going to give The Undoing a 8.5 out of 10.
I have been so impressed with Nicole Kidman in the last couple of years. The last things, everything that I've seen her in, like, I've always known that she was a good actress. I guess I never knew that she was a great actress up until recent years. I just enjoyed the show, man. It kept me guessing. It kept me fully engaged. I just never was not disinterested in what was going on, man. And I really didn't know what happened to the end. Like, I had a real gut feeling that it was Jonathan, but I didn't really know. I didn't know until they showed me, and I thought that was incredible. I'm going to give The Undoing a 9. I just thought it was great.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning into our review of the HBO original, The Undoing. Hope y'all enjoyed our review. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. If you have any recommendations for movies or shows or trailers that you would like us to review, drop a comment below.
Absolutely. And if you guys have seen The Undoing, please let us know. What were some of y'all crazy theories that you have with this show, it's impossible to not have any. Even if it's the same as what we said, please mention that below. And then also, what else? Is that it? Okay.
I don't know what you be saying.
He's like, nigga, I know my lines. I don't know yours. All right, I think that might be it. We appreciate y'all, man. Peace.
Peace.